Hey guys, I'm Jesse. This is Stacey. We are back again this week. We're gonna continue on with our story of Bannor Toys and how we got to where we are. Real quick before we jump into it, I just want to remind you the first couple of videos you saw, maybe you haven't saw them, so you can find them on all our social media channels. Wherever you're watching this one, I'm sure you can find the last two. Last week's was just about how we started from our house and where Bannor Toys very first started, the original idea, and how we used to hand cut all the toys and kind of the very, very beginnings of Bannor Toys. And prior to that was the intro video, like where we came up with the idea and us in today's world, like having a meeting with our staff and kind of letting them know what we're doing here. So last thing before I continue on with today's story is these last 2 weeks and the next couple weeks here, this story of how we got to where we are is just for fun. It's if you're a new follower, if you haven't been with us for a long time, it's just to catch you up to where we are. And then once we catch up, we want to continue on with these videos, but it'll be more just kind of behind the scenes and
day-to-day.
Yeah, the story of what we're doing now, like the toys we're coming out with, the sales we're getting ready for, how we build your toys, you know, just the everyday happenings here at the Bannor Toy Shop. But first, this week's story is, it has the single most hectic day of like my life as a member of Bannor Toys will be included in this day.
Oh yeah.
When we left off, we were
still in the garage.
We had to leave our house, as far as the business had to leave the house, because we had kind of outgrown it. We needed some new equipment, we needed a CNC machine, we needed some of those things, and we just couldn't fit them in there. But also, we didn't necessarily make enough money to go get a commercial shop. Like, we didn't know where to be, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of where our business has always been. Like,
right.
If you follow the trajectory of a lot of businesses, you'll kind of see a ramp, right? Like slow and steady growth. Ours is more like a stair steps. That's kind of what we've always called them. It's like stair steps, right? Because we're kind of like, okay, this is going well, and then we're like, we have to do something, and we don't know what it is, and it's always kind of a risk, and that's why we jump up, because it's not gradual, and it's not like this, oh, this is going nicely. It's like, should we take this risk? Yeah, I guess we have to, and then we jump up here, you know? Yeah. And so like that part right there is always kind of scary, but
terrifying.
You'll notice in each part of the story that we always have one of those.
Always.
I mean, like last week's, it was me leaving my job when we weren't making enough money to run a toy company. Mm-hmm. But if we wanted to make a go of it, we had to give it a shot.
Yeah.
And this week,
it is our house.
Yeah, it's getting a commercial shop when and our first big piece of equipment, the CNC machine.
Yeah.
And we had no business doing that, not because we didn't need it, but because we didn't know how to do it, you know. And so we were trying to figure that out. We actually got pretty lucky with that shop though, right?
We got crazy lucky. Do you remember driving around looking? We looked at all these little shops and they were out of our price range, or they needed too much work, or they just weren't right.
All around Central Iowa, looking at all these commercial properties, all these flex spaces, all these warehouses, and we couldn't afford a single one of them.
we couldn't. We really
They were like, right.
And then you called me one day. You were riding your motorcycle around our neighborhood, and you drove by a for lease sign on this building.
It was this cool brick building. It had 4 like commercial bays in it. Anyway, we got a pretty big space. It was definitely a jump for us, but it was pretty affordable compared to what we'd been finding. Like we thought to ourselves, okay, if we fail miserably here, we can do this. Like we can make this lease work for the lease term at least. Like, so while it was a stretch, it wasn't like we're going into ruin to make this happen. Okay.
I mean, it was pretty scary, but
it was scary.
Yeah.
But it was our first commercial shop, so we did it. We upgraded some of our normal equipment that you would think of, the table saws and the miter saws and things like that for a commercial shop.
Oh, and I was pregnant while we were doing this.
Yep, she was pregnant with Eli. So I ordered a CNC machine. It's the one we still have downstairs in this shop.
It's huge.
So it took a while to get to us. This is the part of the story that is like the day for me. The day that lives in infamy.
I mean, it is the day for me too, but like...
Fair enough.
Pretty fair, right?
But you just weren't there for this part. You were there for, I guess, the important part.
I mean, I did a pretty big part of that day.
So this machine, and again, remember, I know that looking back, this wasn't that big a deal, because even if we had missed the shipment, it was like, okay, well, you just have to pay for shipping, like, which is a bummer because that's expensive, but it is what it is. But back then, we got to remember,
it wasn't in our budget to pay for shipping again.
because it wasn't just shipping. This was a giant piece of equipment. We were actually paying for a semi to deliver this from its factory to us, and we were paying for the driver and it was the freight. It was really expensive. We didn't own a forklift. The machine is set to be delivered. We can't change it because it's on its way.
Yeah.
Remember, this is coming from Minnesota. This is hours away, so it's on the road already. Stacey goes into labor.
I sure did.
So,
we were having a baby a few weeks early.
So Eli's coming, like that day.
That day.
And there's also a semi coming that day. Now
Neither
remember,
can be changed.
like, I'm not a bad man. But we both know, like, we can't afford to send this semi home. Because by the time we figure all this out, it's 20 minutes away.
Yes.
So the man that leased us the building owns a brewery in the other part of the building. He's agreed to let us use his forklift. Great, saving grace.
Perfect.
The hospital is actually downtown. It's very close. The nurses know that I'm going to leave.
So
Then-
they hold off on giving me Pitocin to
Yeah.
speed delivery.
Yeah, we're actually okay. They're like, this is going fine, Jesse. You can go for an hour and come back, and if there's any change, we'll call you.
Yeah, no big deal.
My dad's on standby. He's gonna meet me at the shop. So worst case scenario, he'll handle it. Things are, it's hectic, but we're making do.
Yeah, I was good laboring alone.
Okay. Okay.
There are no grudges held.
So I bolt out of there. I get down there. This machine is big and pretty heavy, and it's in the semi long ways. This forklift is just made for the brewery, for lifting their ingredients into their tubs or what I don't know, I'm sorry. So it's not big enough. Long story short, the forks aren't long enough. It's not rated for enough weight. It can't lift it. When we go to lift it, the forklift actually tilts. So now we're really stuck because I have a semi driver who wants to leave. I have a machine I can't get off. I have a forklift that's not big enough, and I have a wife who's literally waiting to have a baby for me to get back.
Have a baby.
I call around. We find a forklift place. I'm panicking. We find a forklift place. They're going to deliver us a bigger forklift in 4 hours. We don't have 4 hours.
We don't have 4 hours.
I'm like, my wife's in labor. They're like, why are you calling us then? Like, we order a flatbed tow truck to come, and this guy is, bless his soul, he's a saint. He didn't want to do it because he doesn't want the liability.
He thought you were crazy.
But the flatbed tow truck comes up, backs up to the semi, uses his winch to hook up to the pallet, the big crate thing that's holding our gigantic 3,000 pound CNC machine, and pulls it onto his flatbed tow truck so that the semi driver can leave. I have to go back to the hospital. So my dad stayed, thank goodness. So now my dad uses this little forklift that we have from the brewery, and the man with the tow truck backs into my shop and tilts the bed, and my dad pulls it off, basically, like slides my gigantic CNC machine as though it's just like a downed tree limb or something, just pulls it off of the thing, and there it's in my shop.
And you made it back for Eli to be born.
Yep, I made it back. We were fine. With time to spare. It's not like I rushed in the room. Like, we were good. So we ended up having to rent another bigger forklift to position that thing down the road, a couple days later after we got everyone home and settled. The shop was beautiful. The business was great.
Yes,
that
we were
was
growing.
One of our favorite spots to be. That was where we learned. So the first part of us being in the house was where we learned really to make toys. We were selling very few, so we had a really great time to hone our skills and learn about it. But this second part, we knew about making toys, so this is kind of where we learned to scale up.
Yes.
And we learned a lot about the business side of what we were doing. So we were getting bigger clients, we were trying to work out things with them.
We took on orders that we probably had no business taking on at the time.
I had just bought this CNC and I just thought, oh, well, certainly we can just do this now. And, I was wrong.
That's funny.
But I didn't know I was wrong, you know. So we just learned along the way. We learned about hiring employees. We learned about working with wholesale clients and just other businesses and some of the good and bad that goes with that. And
well, we learned how to be a family again we had a newborn. We were starting over with this huge shop responsibility. We were responsible for employees. We set that front office up as a living room, do you remember?
Oh,
and
yeah.
And the kids hung out in the shop while we worked.
Yeah, half the shop was like shipping area and lasering area, and half of it was like playpens and
a swing and a bouncy seat.
The TV and the couch was in there.
Tubs of Legos.
Yeah, that's right. We learned so much about running a business in that shop. But I think if I had to sum up like the second portion, kind of what we feel is like the second stair, you know, the second tread of our story, like kind of that day and like that big equipment and that kind of dynamic of learning to do family and small business, but on a bigger scale, like actual business, not just crafting, I guess, so to speak, like turning into something that is more. I guess that's kind of how that would all sum up that portion.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. So, thanks for joining us. I thought that was really fun. Next week we kind of go into when we wanted to stop renting the facility and start kind of owning and taking charge of
where we're going.
what we do and how we grow. So, look forward to that.